Good afternoon, everybody. The Music Fan is back, bringing smiles to the faces, knowledge to the people, and, most importantly, music to the masses. And I am back with another Are You In? Now, I'm doing something themed for today and tomorrow. Yes, I'm doing 3 Are You Ins this week because I've been a little bit behind and I finally want to catch up. But this video and the next video are going to be themed in this particular way. The 2 albums I'm looking at are from some big names in the indie rock, garage rock, blues rock scene, especially during both the late 2000s and the early 2010s. Now, the other similar thing is neither of these bands have put out an album for quite some time. So let's get going. Today, I'm looking at the newest Raconteurs album entitled Help Us Stranger. Now, the Raconteurs are an alt-rock, garage rock, blues rock, indie rock band from Detroit, Michigan, with members including Brandon Benson on vocals, guitar, keyboards, organ, and piano, Patrick Keeler on drums and percussion, Jack Lawrence on bass guitar, banjo, backing vocals, and Jack White on vocals, guitar, keyboards, organ, piano, stylophone, and mandolin. Previous albums include Broken Boy Soldiers in 2006 and Consolers of the Lonely in 2008. So this is one of Jack White's many bands over the last 2 decades. Jack White, a huge staple in the alt-rock, blues rock, just rock in general scene. One of the best guitarists of the 2000s and one who has many great albums with many great bands. Of course, White Stripes comes to mind first, but you got also the Raconteurs, as well as Dead Weather, and then his own solo work. Now, I missed the bus on the Raconteurs. I have heard a couple of songs that I love, of course, being Steady As She Goes, and On the Level. I love those blues rock sounds. However, I'm not the hugest Jack White fan in general. I understand that a lot of people do like him. However, I don't hear a lot of difference between what he does on certain albums in all of his bands. I understand that Dead Weather is a little bit heavier, and White Stripes is supposed to be a little bit more bluesy as well. He does a little bit more experimental stuff on his solo work. However, never been a huge fan of his solo work. I enjoyed Boarding House Reach last year, but it wasn't in my top 50. It was an honorable mention, but I found it a little bit too weird. And I do like White Blood Cells. I do like a lot of stuff from the White Stripes, but there isn't anything that makes me truly go back other than a couple of songs. But still, I wanted to give the Raconteurs a chance. I knew that this is a band that has been very influential in the indie rock and blues rock scene, and would like to see if they were able to do something interesting, something great on their return, because it has been 11 years since they have put out an album. So, gave it a listen, and I found it mostly enjoyable. What I see from this album is a lot of not just blues rock, but a lot of influences of folk rock, influences of psychedelic rock, and it makes for a pretty diverse album that I can enjoy. Now, that's not to say that it strays away from the formula that has made Jack White popular. I still think there's a lot of stuff that is very similar to other songs that they have done, but still very solid. My favorite songs are honestly the ones that do stay towards the more simplistic side of that formula. Sunday Driver is a really, really fun song with a great intro with this very minimalist and layered guitar idea before going into that main hook and that main riff, which has so much energy. It's one of the better melodies on the album, and yes, it's very short in terms of a melody, but it's still a lot of fun. I also do really enjoy that minimalist guitar solo as the rest of the band is singing these very tight, almost like Beatles-esque harmonies. Really, really fun song. Really silly song about someone dating your sister that you don't like, but they are always around. A really good song to listen to. On the other side, you got a little bit more of a somber song in Now That You're Gone. These 2 songs were released before the album, and I can see why. They are the best songs on the album. This song is about losing a lover after a breakup and wondering how they're doing in kind of a tongue-in-cheek way. It's very simplistic. It has this very blues, waltz, very doo-wop kind of sound, but I like certain parts of it. The melody is fantastic. Brandon Benson sounds great on this. I like the little guitar lines of do-do-do-do-do-do-do. I think it's very simplistic, but it works very well. There's some great layering on here, particularly the piano part that comes in the second half, the little arpeggiated line that goes before the guitar solo, as well as the outro idea with both Brandon and Jack doing these call and response, very crunchy blues chords. It's really cool, and the cool thing about it is it hits both sides of the speaker, so really interesting to me. From there, you have another kind of more folk rock-ish kind of song with Help Me Stranger, another one with some great melodies, and what I love about it as well is those harmony lines on the chorus, which have some great motion in between them. It's a really fun, really solid song about trying to lean on a person and hoping that they can lean on you as well. It's a very solid arrangement. The intro's a little bit weird, but no worries. Next favorite, Born and Raised, the opening track on the album, has, again, another great building for the intro, and then it eventually comes into some more energetic and upbeat blues rock. The drums on there are fantastic. The melody is typical Jack White screaming, but it's serviceable. I just like the arrangement itself, and it opens up this album in a great way. Finally, rounding out my favorite songs, Thoughts and Prayers, the last song on the album, about trying to find a way to get through life as it moves on and you lose people and things get crazier and crazier. This is the most folk song on the album, and a song that feels much different from anything that I've heard from any Jack White band. I really enjoy this song because just how different it is, and it builds very well. There's some great string parts that come in later in the song, and it's a great way of ending the album. The melody does sound a little bit like the chorus part of Help Me Stranger, which is a little bit weird. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but still a great way of ending the album. It's after that, though, that we get to a couple of more solid songs, but each of them do have a couple of problems. Don't Bother Me seems to be talking about the characteristics of dictators, potentially Trump, and it's an interesting song in general. I can't tell if it's from the eyes of the dictator itself or from someone criticizing that dictator, but it's a lot of fun. It is this very up-tempo rock song with some great chromatic ideas and some very Queen-inspired harmonies on the Don't Bother Me, Bother Me. It does eventually slow down to making for a more slow and heavier blues rock before getting into this kind of like very hard rock, fast pace at the end. It does get a little bit repetitive just because of the nature of the song, so that's why it's a little bit lower than everything else. Hey Jip, Dig the Slowness is a cover of a Donovan song, and I enjoy the feel of this song a lot. It has drums that are very second line, and it's just this bluesy second line song that's just so much fun. Another one that's very repetitive, and it does become a little bit more grating when you get this actually more straightaway rock sound, but another that is pretty fun. Live a Lie is this punk rock inspired song, it seems like. It has more punk rock aspects than blues on here. It's fun. It's talking about having friendships and relationships built off on lies instead of truth. A fun, simple song. Only Child is a more blues folky song. It's pretty fun and pretty solid, except for the outro is a little bit weird because it just takes it to a different place than the rest of the song. But the melody is great, and the bridge parts add some nice color. And that's where we end the solid songs and now get to some more lackluster songs. What's Yours Is Mine is a song that's under 3 minutes, and it has two distinctive styles that just don't coexist very well. You have this hard rock intro idea and this more laid back verse idea. I really like the chromatic work on there, but it just doesn't meld the way it should, especially because it keeps going in between these two ideas in such a short amount of time. Some Days I Don't Feel Like Trying is another one of these blues waltz songs, kind of like Now That You're Gone. However, I don't find it as interesting, and what bothers me about this song is the end part where it completely changes the feel to something a little bit more simplistic. As they're singing, I'm here right now, I'm not dead yet. Yes, I like the idea of talking about depression and how depression can get in the way of progress and creativity. And I understand the here right now, not dead yet is supposed to be like, hey, I'm here, I'm not giving up. However, it just feels out of place for this song in just the pace of how it came to here. And it goes a little bit too long to not become noticeable and kind of grating. And then Shine the Light on Me is this rock ballad with like piano as the focus. It has a nice piano melody. It's about having moments of clarity in life, not always questioning everything that's going on, but just enjoying life. Nice idea. However, the problem that I have is that the melody repeats this piano part and makes for a pretty dull song. The intro parts aren't interesting, and then like this outro goes on way too long. It just makes for, honestly, the worst song on the album. Overall, I came enjoying most of this album. I think there's a lot of diversity on here, even if the lyrics are pretty straightforward and pretty simple. But then again, it is blues. A lot of blues songs are pretty simplistic in their lyrical nature. I don't find a lot of the lyrics groundbreaking, but I do enjoy what is there. A callback to blues rock, a callback to classic rock, a little bit of psychedelic rock, and just a lot of different influences from the past. It's a great way of bringing these influences into a new sound. However, I will say that it doesn't necessarily break ground even for a Jack White album. It's a very serviceable album, and there's a lot of great stuff to listen to of enough diversity to keep you there for a while. But there are some songs that drag it down. What's Yours Is Mine, Some Days I Don't Feel Like Trying, and Shine a Light on Me. Not really worth the time to listen. However, that's only 3 songs on a 12-track CD. So basically, for me, I would say it's a little bit more than a pick and choose. I would say listen to the full album once. Luckily, the majority of those songs that are bad are right next to each other, so you get through that really quickly and then get back to some really, really good stuff. I will say that some of the better songs are on the back half of the album. Sunday Driver and Now That You're Gone are right next to each other, and then the first 2 songs are right next to each other in terms of the best songs. So the pacing isn't the greatest, but there's a lot there to enjoy if you love blues rock, if you love indie rock, if you love garage rock. I think there's enough there that can satiate your appetite without having you look for something completely new and completely revolutionary. So, that is my time. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you love or hate this album and your reasons why. Share this with your friends. Let me know of other albums from 2019 that you'd like me to review. And finally, subscribe to my channel. If you enjoy these videos and want to see more of this, the best way you can help is to subscribe. So, tomorrow I'll be back with another Are You In? Until then, this is the Music Fan, and I'm signing off.